All right, let's jump right in. What if the Quran wasn't just a book? What if it was, like, the source code for reality itself? We're about to explore a really fascinating interpretation that sees the universe, quantum physics, and ancient scripture all as part of one single incredible story. So, let's get into it.
So this all starts with a massive, and I mean massive question. Is the universe just a story? And if it is, what does that make us? Are we the main characters? This is really the heart of the idea we're unpacking today. This concept that all of existence is this epic narrative, and it's written in a language that's, well, divine.
Okay, Section 1, the Code of Creation. So if reality is a story, what's it written in? Well, the idea here is that there's this fundamental divine code, a blueprint really, that underlies everything. And I mean everything, from the biggest galaxies all the way down to what's happening inside your own soul. And at the very center of this code, you've got this cosmic push and pull. It's a fundamental duality. On one side, there's this unseen force called light. Think of it as mercy, pure knowledge, cosmic order. But on the other side, there's the force you can see, fire. And this represents wrath, chaos, and especially pride, the stuff that really puts us to the test.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This whole divine code is said to have a signature, a watermark, if you will, and it's the number 19. According to this interpretation, this number is a divine seal that's literally woven into the mathematical structure of the Quran. From the 19 letters in the very first verse to patterns in the chapters, it's seen as this incredible, built-in protection against anyone ever changing it.
And this cosmic story? It plays out in a very specific pattern, 3, 6, 9. Think of it like acts in a play. Act 1, represented by the number 3, is the fall, that first slip into pride. Then you get to Act 2, number 6, which is all about the fix, the divine knowledge and laws that bring things back into balance. And it all builds up to the finale, number 9, the ultimate judgment, where everything gets sorted out, and truth and falsehood are split apart once and for all. All right, next up, the Word made manifest. So, okay, we have this code, but how does it go from being an idea, an unseen blueprint, to something tangible, something real? Well, this is where things get a little bit quantum, because we're talking about how the divine word actually shows up in our world. So, check this out. In this framework, the divine word is seen as having this incredible dual nature, kind of like what we see in quantum physics with wave-particle duality. On one hand, it exists as this vast, unseen wave of potential. That's the Quran, this eternal ocean of knowledge. But then, that wave can collapse into a particle. It can become a single focused point that we can actually see and interact with. And the purest example of that? The Word made flesh, the Prophet Isa, or Jesus.
Okay, and this right here is probably the most important takeaway. In this view, Isa is not just the name of a person from history. It's a title, it's a state of being, a spiritual achievement. It's what happens when a human soul, the nafs, becomes so purified that it perfectly aligns with the divine spirit inside, the ruh. Basically, by absorbing and living the knowledge of the Quran, a person can become a walking, talking manifestation of that word. They become an Isa in their own right. The Quran becomes them, and they become the Quran.
Moving on to our third section, the prophetic loop. Now, this way of thinking totally changes how you look at history. Forget a straight timeline from past to future. Instead, think of it as a repeating cycle, a loop of humanity's biggest tests and the divine guidance that comes with them.
And the best way to visualize this is as a Mobius loop. You know that weird strip of paper with a half twist that only has one side? It has no real beginning or end. That's the idea here. It represents humanity's one single continuous challenge, choosing submission over pride. And each of the great prophets represents a critical point on that loop. From Adam's fall to Abraham's test, Moses' law, Isa's embodiment of the word, and finally, Muhammad, who is seen as sealing the loop by explaining the whole thing. And this specific moment from the Quran is presented as the absolute turning point in that entire loop. Think about it. Ibrahim's willingness to sacrifice what he loved most. It's the ultimate act of submission. It's the polar opposite of pride. And in this view, that moment is the key that unlocks the whole cycle, showing humanity the way forward.
Okay, part 4, the soul's inner cosmos. So we've talked about these huge cosmic ideas. But what does it all have to do with you, with me? Well, this is where it all comes home. That whole grand dynamic, the code, the battle between light and fire, it's not just happening out there. It's happening inside every single one of us.
So, picture this. Your soul is like a mini solar system. At the very center, you have the Ru. That's the divine spirit, your personal inner sun blazing with light. And then, orbiting that sun is your nafs, yourself, your ego, which is like a planet. And the whole point of life, the entire journey, is to polish the surface of your planet, to clear away the dust and grime, so it can perfectly, brilliantly reflect the light of your inner sun.
And there's a powerful symbol for this process, restoring al-Hijr al-Aswad. Now, we're not talking about the physical black stone in Mecca here. This is about something inside you, a symbolic white stone of truth that's at the core of your heart. The idea is that pride, ego, and sin stain this stone, turning it black. But through purification, through gaining that divine knowledge we talked about, you can polish that stone, restoring it to its original, pure, white brilliance. You literally restore the truth within you.
And finally, our last section. Return to the source. Because this whole journey, whether you're looking at the grand cosmos or your own personal struggle, it all heads towards one of two possible endings. This is where your personal story finds its final place in that massive, universal narrative.
So, when all is said and done, it boils down to a choice between two paths. There's the path of light. You choose submission, you purify yourself, you align with that inner sun, and you ascend. Or there's the path of fire. You choose pride. You let corruption take hold. You turn your back on your own inner light, and your soul hardens until it falls, becoming, in this view, just fuel for the fire.
Which brings us full circle, right back to where we started. This idea of a universe that's not random, but a story written in a divine code, where every single one of us plays a part. So the question this whole framework really leaves you with is a personal one. If the entire universe is a book, what are you writing in your chapter?